Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav.
And I'm Hermit.
And this is a Game of Thrones. Chapters 17, 18, and 19.
Whoa.
In this episode, we're trying something different. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I know this isn't really our return, as you will observe it, because we'll have put out more episodes before this, but this is the first episode we're recording after the great sickness of 2020. Okay, we're here, and as you heard, we're doing not one, not two, but 3 chapters this time. What do you think, Harmit?
This is exciting, but
I know, right?
I'm really scared for this because as the people who have followed this podcast know, I can't remember things from one chapter. So this is surely going to be a lot of embarrassment for me.
This
but
is
that's
why
okay.
I provide you with these beautifully organized notes.
Yes, but yes.
Okay, anyway, so why are we doing this, you might wonder? Well, it's because when I was sick, all I could do was obsess over Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, and I was getting more and more excited and remembering all the things I want to talk to Harmit about, and I was like, oh my god, we're never gonna get to a point where we can just talk about all these things. So I was like, let's speed this shit up. So that's why one night I got really excited and it was like 1 a.m. already, but I was like, oh, we should do more than one chapter. We don't have to confine ourselves to like one at every time. The reason I didn't want to do this before was because like some chapters spoil things, you know, I can't get her to predict on things if the next chapter is already going to tell what it is. So now I've decided we don't have to stick to a strict number of like 3 every week. We can do 2 or 4 or 5 or 20 if we want. Probably not 20.
And
but,
the good thing with this, the way that I think this will also work really well, is because there's different point of views. So it's not, like, for example, for this one, nothing really, like, there was nothing.
You don't get an update on Bran again. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can just organize it in a way where I still don't get literally any spoilers.
That's exactly what I've done. So that one night, I spent the entire night reading through the whole book and separating it into chapters. And it was amazing. I fell asleep at around 7 a.m., but still, you know, it was worth it. It was fun.
Yes. Oh my god.
So also, if there's like a really, if there's like a spoiler the very next chapter, we might just go down to 1 chapter per episode for like that one time. Like,
then I'll know that next chapter is related, and then I can get excited.
That's
about
true. But, like, that may not be the only reason why we're doing one. Some of these chapters get, like, really dense sometimes, and
so you could just lie to me and be like, oh, it's really long.
Well, I could, but, like, they do get long. I'm not even kidding about that.
That's true.
And we're trying it out. This is, you know, we're seeing how it goes. If we can sustain it, we will continue with it. But that's where we're at. That's the update. Any comments or questions or concerns? Harmit? I'm not asking the audience. They can't reply. I'm asking you.
We're good.
Okay. All right, so what is it? Oh my god, you can't do a 30-second summary of these.
I mean, I could try. Maybe. Okay. Wait, what if you made me do a 10-second summary of each chapter?
No, we'll do 30 per. Okay? And then when I say 30, you just switch to the next chapter. We won't even pause in between.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, ready?
I'm so scared.
Get set, Bran.
Okay, Bran is a dream sequence. Crow flying. He has to learn how to fly. There's Corn. The crow gets mad at him because he's not flying. And then when he finally starts flying, the crow kills him. Just kidding. Reawakens him. And he wakes up and Rob's like, oh my god! And he names his wolf, Summer. He names his wolf Summer. Done.
Cool. Okay, Catelyn.
Okay, Catelyn, they finally get to King's Landing. What's the guy that's name starts with M and it's 5 letters? Maury, that's his name, right? Maury's a douche.
It's not Maury, but okay.
Whatever it is, Maury, and then they get there, and she's called out of her room. Littlefinger, we know what his name means. They know that she's there, they don't know why she's there. The Jory guy, that's his name, right? Jory what's his name? 5 letters. It's another 5 letters.
Roderick Castle.
No. The other
Okay,
guy,
that was
his
a
name's
minute.
5
Move
letters.
on to John.
Okay, John. Okay, obviously we're at the wall. The wall is like blue and like icy and like cool, and they keep talking about winter, and winter's coming. And we see Tyrion, and I am very suspicious of Tyrion. Anyway, he's like fighting. He like breaks someone's wrist, but not actually. And it's kind of this whole thing about like, oh, he was we've talked about this before. He was so privileged, but in his mind, he's like, I'm just better than them. And the guy makes him see that, and he's like, actually,
25.
No, you
That's
need to
it.
get out of your ass.
Stop. Okay, that was a wonderful mess, and I enjoyed it. Maury, who are you talking about? Is it the
Isn't his
captain,
name
the
Maury?
Tyroshi
Yeah, what's
captain?
his name? It starts with an M.
I know,
it starts
okay.
with an I know it starts
I, like,
with
didn't
an M,
take
and
note
I know
of it
it's
'cause-
5 letters.
Hold on.
I know
his
that for a
name.
fact. That's why I assumed it was Maury, because I don't know any other 5-letter name that starts with M.
It is...
Except for Maisie. But I
Hold
know
on,
it wasn't
hold
Maisie,
on.
so.
Moreo.
Okay, I was
Maury.
very close.
Okay, whatever. Moreo.
Moreo,
That's his
whatever.
name. Sure. Jory, Roderick, what?
No. What's the guy?
The knight?
No, the spider. The spider.
Sir Varys? No, not Sir.
Varys,
Lord
Sir.
Varys. Varys, whatever you
okay.
want to say.
Yeah, see, I was remembering the 5 letters, and I couldn't remember anything else.
Yeah, Jory, sure.
Jory's someone else, like Sir
Yeah,
Jory
Jory
Castle, right?
is... I don't know if he's a knight. Sir Roderick Castle is Jory Castle's uncle. That's the deal.
Okay, yeah. See, I remembered the castle.
Okay, just FYI, the chapters we're covering are Bran 3, Catelyn 4, and Jon 3. Should have said that before. Also, I'm still not like 100%, just forgive me. Okay, let's just get into it. Not waste any time. We don't do anything else, right, that I'm forgetting?
No.
Okay.
We just get right into it.
All right, Bran. He's a fallen.
Bran is fallen. This is like this whole dream sequence, and he's falling, and he thinks he's gonna wake up before he hits the ground, but there's a crow there, and the crow's like, no, Bran, you're gonna die when you hit the ground.
Yeah.
And he tells Bran that, well, if you don't want to die, you have to fly. That rhymes! If you don't want to die, you gotta fly, bro.
Yeah. And then later
Okay.
he's like, don't cry, fly.
I know. That was so funny. It was like this entire cheesy commercial the whole time, except for the fact that, he was gonna fall to his
It's
death or whatever.
intense.
Yes.
Hold on, before we get into it. Okay, this chapter is very different from anything we've ever read. Ever read. As in, like, we've read in
what
these
did I-
books yet.
I'm sorry that I keep saying this, but I always... Okay, no, what did we talk about last time? When we were like... this one time on the podcast, we haven't recorded in so long, so I forget, but we talked about, like, what if Bran gets another chapter or something? Like, we were talking about it, and it came up, right? Where we were talking about
Right.
what if he was, like, in a coma, in comment... Like, we talked about that, right? We were like...
Yes. Well, you thought that he would be, like, in a coma, but he could observe his surroundings. So there would
that's
be, like,
what I
stuff
thought,
happening
yeah.
at Winterfell that he could see, which is kind of what
Oh.
happens, but not in the way you thought.
Not
at all.
really. That's true. I know.
Oh.
Like, when the chapter first started, I was like, aha, I was right. And then I realized, no, wait. I was so confused.
Yeah. Anyway, Bran... Okay, sorry, you didn't answer the question. This is very different from other chapters. What did you think of it? It's like a whole new vibe.
Yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was actually, I enjoyed it so much that I forgot to take notes, actually. It was really, looking back, I was
You
like,
were just sucked in by it. It was
No,
just
all
a
the other-
whimsical
yeah.
experience
Because
overall.
the thing was, in all the other chapters, there's these, like, I think just because, like, different things happen and there's natural pauses, and, you know, you get to the end of a paragraph where something specific happens and you take notes. Like, that's what I tend to do. And I think with this chapter, it was this continuous sequence, and that's why I, like, forgot to take notes.
One
and then
thing
I had to go
leads
back
to
and be
another,
like,
and there's, like, no real, like, breaks in between.
There wasn't, like, oh, he fell. Okay, let me take note of what just happened. It was like, oh, him and Crow just go back and forth, and you're like, oh, okay. You know?
Him and his buddy Crow, yeah. Anyway, so the Crow tells Bran to fly, and Bran's, like, looking for wings, and he notices that his arms and legs are, like, thinner than he used to be. So this kind of tells us that this is, like, present day. Like, Bran, even though he's, like, dreaming, is sensing himself as he is now, in a way. I don't know, I found that interesting. And then all of a sudden he's like trying to remember what the hell happened, like, why am I so thin? And this, like, shining golden face comes up, and the things I do for love. He remembers that.
Yeah. That's gonna haunt the series and him for the rest of his life.
Is it though? Because the Crow tells him, forget that. You don't need it now. Put it aside. Put it away. And it seems that Bran does kind of drift away from it. What do you think?
True. That's true. But
and why do you think that Crow wanted him to forget that?
So that he can fly. I don't think he can fly with this entire,
like, if he's, like, tied down to this, like, past. Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't know. I just thought, like, he's waking up, and I don't think the Crow wants him to wake up to, you know, the moment he was in when he, like, you know, fell to his death, essentially. And, like, because when he fell to his death that previous time, he fell, and he, you know,
actually, like, right, okay.
Right? So now he's, you know, metaphorically
somehow
falling.
Remembering it will actually make him fall in this dream. That's what you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
And wait, what did you say?
Okay.
I got confused and I said yeah for no reason.
Okay. So you think that him remembering the last time he fell will somehow make him fall in this dream, and that'll end up killing him?
That I don't know if that's what I think. I'm thinking about the Crow. I'm thinking that the Crow doesn't want him to fall. Like I think the Crow wants a different consequence to this fall than to the previous fall. Because the previous fall, the consequence was, okay, he, like, falls into this deep slumber or whatever, right? I can't say death because he hasn't died yet. So, you know, he falls into this coma. But then with this one, the Crow's like, okay, well, if you fly, you're not falling, so something different will happen because you didn't just fall. You know? Like, that first time he fell, and obviously it's not really his fault, he couldn't control his fall, he's not a superhero, but this time he can control that fall, and instead not fall.
Okay, I think what I said kind of fits in there, but okay, alright, let's not dwell on that one point. But anyway, he sees that face, and then he, like, kind of pushes it out as the Crow, like, pecks at him or something, I can't remember. And then the Crow tells Bran to look down, and Bran all of a sudden notices that he can see the whole freaking realm, and he sees Winterfell. Mm-hmm. And in Winterfell, he sees, you know, Maester Luwin doing his astronomy studies. I don't know. He's, like, looking in a telescope. He sees Robb, older and stronger than he was before. So we know this is, like, present Robb and not, like, him remembering things in the back. Yeah. He sees Hodor, the stable boy, hauling things around. And, you know, this is all stuff that could very well be happening outside Bran's room. So, that kind of gives us a sense of, like, oh, this is kind of real. Like, is it a dream?
Exactly. It's not just a dream, because, no, that's not just a dream.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, at Winterfell, he sees the weirwood tree in the Godswood, and it's like he sees a reflection in the pool underneath it, and it seems like it stares back at him knowingly, apparently. So there's that another, like, instance of the weirwood tree staring or, like, watching. Yeah. And then he sees... Okay, wait, why am I just summarizing? Why don't you tell us what he sees?
Okay, wait. He sees... Okay, so then didn't he also see, like, Daenerys's world? Yeah.
Wait, you're like skipping 10 things right now.
Kiwi.
Okay, after Winterfell, he sees his mom, who is going on a boat ride, and he sees Sir Roderick, who's like being sick on the boat, which we later learn in the next chapter is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And he sees a storm approaching them. After which he sees the Trident, where Ned and the girls are, his sisters.
Yeah. He
Do you
sees
remember
them,
where Ned's pleading with the king, Sansa's crying, and Arya's watching and holding her secrets hard in her heart. Isn't that interesting?
What does she know?
Did you notice something in this part?
No.
There are shadows all around them. One shadow is dark as ash, with a terrible face of a hound. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone, but when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. What do you think of that?
Wait, I'm reading it again.
I feel like you totally forgot this was a thing.
I forgot this was a thing.
This is like the most interesting thing.
I don't remember this. I didn't make note of it, so I don't remember it.
Okay, let's break it down. Who is the dark shadow with the terrible face of a hound?
Our favorite
Clegane.
No.
Yeah, Clegane. What's his name? Sandor Clegane, the hound. And then there's a man armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Who could that be? Who else was seen as the golden and beautiful in Bran's memory?
What's his name? I literally forget his name.
Okay, can you tell me who it is so I can tell you the name?
The kid.
The kid. Joffrey?
For the prince.
But armored like a knight.
Okay, that's true. The king's brother? But Bran never saw
Golden
him,
and beautiful. The king's brother is dark like the king. Oh my god, it's Jaime Lannister. The guy who pushed Bran out the window.
Oh, right. Okay,
Sir Jaime Lannister, because he's like beautiful, and golden because the lion, and that's their colors. And earlier when he was like remembering the things I do for love, he said he was shining like gold. So,
okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Did not make
like no fun to do this with. This is you're like not enough of a nerd. Whatever. Okay, now after this, there's a giant in armor made of stone, and under the visor, his or its or whatever, there's darkness and thick black blood. What do you think that is?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's not something we've encountered yet, I don't think. None of the people we've encountered match up with this. And as you can imagine, this whole chapter is like a big... It's a huge thing for theorizers, like for people that make theories and figure out things. And this line, the giant in armor made of stone, is like still theorized about. So...
okay.
Just keep it in the back of your mind and see if like any things the new people and things we come across, maybe something will fit in with that. I don't know.
That's true. Because a bunch of these things are things that we've already seen. But with that, okay.
Like, if you've noticed, there's like, here it shows in this like dream, there's things we already know, like it mentions, Ned and the sisters, like the things we already know, and then it introduces something new. Same with like it shows us what's happening in Winterfell, and then it tells us something new about his mother. Like that's kind of just keep that in mind. And then he looks across the narrow sea to the Dothraki Sea, to Vice Dothrak and Ashai by the Shadow, or whatever. All these random places that like we've never really even heard of.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, Daenerys, we haven't seen her in like 10 chapters.
Well, he doesn't see her specifically.
But... No, but I was, every time we talk about the Free Cities, like we talked about them in the later chapters too, my brain just goes, oh my god, Daenerys. And
yeah, there's a line where he like looked beyond, like all the way east, and he sees a shy where the dragons stir beneath the shadows or whatever. I to this day do not know what that actually means. I'm just gonna admit it.
well, dragons.
Well, it doesn't actually. You'll see why, but it doesn't make sense in the overall story. It might just be one of those things that George R. Because, the dragons are dead, and it's not like... Well, I can't spoil you, sorry. I was going to say something. Well, it just doesn't come up again, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And,
right.
That's why I don't know what it means. Okay. Anyway, after that, he looks north to the wall. He sees his brother John getting all cold and crispy. I don't know if you get crispy in the cold. You get. But he's cold, and warmth is fleeting him, which we can tell.
Yes. Skin growing pale.
Yeah. After which okay, you say something, because I've just been summarizing and you're doing nothing.
All right. Okay. So then the Crow says my least favorite line of this entire series, because winter is coming.
No, but
the
why
Crow's
does
like,
he say that?
I was getting there.
Okay.
Crow's like, now you know.
But what does he see that makes him know?
John.
No, he looks.
He sees
deeper,
like the
deeper.
entire.
No, he looks past the wall and further and further north until he looked deep into the heart of winter, and then he cried out, afraid, and the heat of his tears burned on his cheeks. Because he's seen the heart of winter, he must live, because winter is coming. Oh my god, you're the worst at this. I need a new person. Somebody, if there's a volunteer out there, I talk to me. Send me an email. Okay. You're like,
I told you, I don't remember any of this.
Okay, but the heart of winter, what do we know lies beyond the wall? Come on, make those connections.
Others.
Yes, which are like like they're winter embodied, like in person form, or they're beings of winter, and they're scary, and Bran's like, winter is coming. Come on, give me something here. You're not even reacting.
Because that makes sense. There's nothing to react to.
Okay, anyway, but it makes sense why the Crow says, now you must live because winter is coming.
Yeah, but just because it makes sense doesn't mean I have to like it. I just said I don't like he says, but I don't like it when they say that.
Okay, fine. Anyway, at this point, Bran notices that the Crow has not one, not two, but 3 eyes. Like the 3 chapters you're reading. I don't know, that was just terrible of me. And it says that the 3rd eye is full of a terrible knowledge. What do you think?
Interesting. The Crow has seen.
You're so boring. Okay, well, then Bran looks down and he sees the ground flying up at him, and he sees the bones of 1,000 other dreamers. And he's really afraid, which is when he remembers, can a man be brave when he's afraid? That's the only time a man can be brave. Okay. Please do not sue me for that terrible accent. I don't know why you would sue me, but don't at me.
Oh my god.
I'm like worked up because she's not giving me anything, okay?
This isn't exciting to me. I don't know what to give you.
Okay. It's like, okay, fine. I guess I get it. Okay. You don't know the whole story, so it doesn't make as much. Okay. Calm down, Nav. It's fine. Okay.
But that's gonna be him if he doesn't fly. He's gonna be like, he's gonna be down there with the rest of the bones, forgotten.
Exactly. So
forgotten until the next dreamer comes by and they're like,
Yep. He has to fly or die. And Bran spreads his arms and he flies. And as he's flying and feeling like all the joy in the world, the Crow has to peck at him right in the middle of his forehead between his eyes. And slowly, as Bran's kind of dealing with this, he notices the Crow turn into a serving woman, and all of a sudden, he's waking up and in Winterfell. And he still has that pain in his forehead, but there's like no blood or anything.
Mhm.
And he can't get out of bed or feel his legs. But then he notices his wolf, which is full of warmth, opposite of the heart of winter, and names him Summer.
Summer. Yay. Oh my god.
I feel like I just read a whole chapter alone with no feedback from you. I don't know how we're gonna do this.
I don't know what to say.
Imagine if this had been on its own. It would be just like a whole episode of me talking by myself.
If it had been on its own, I'd probably remember it.
Well, your job is to remember it. That's the only job you have, to remember and talk.
That's not my fault that I can't remember this.
Okay, next time, you read the chapters like an hour before. You can't read them anytime. We can't deal with this. Nuh-uh. Anyway, that's that chapter. Okay, sorry, I need to stop. Okay, this next chapter must surely interest you more. Does it?
They're all interesting.
Okay, but you read this more recently than the other one, right? So give me something here, okay?
All right.
So, start us off.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm gonna tear the sticky off, finally.
Say which chapter it is, and then begin.
So our second chapter is the Catelyn chapter. This is her fourth chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's on a boat, and they're trying to get to King's Landing before the Lannisters get there. And so she's kind of just talking about the boat. We meet the disgusting captain.
What?
About the boat.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
Yeah, the way you said about, I heard a boot, which is like, I know not a thing people say, because we are in Canada. I've never heard anybody say it, other than jokingly.
Oh my god. About the boat. Oh my god. Okay, about the boat. So they're talking about the boat. So we find out Tyroshi people are a thing. That's a new like people. I don't think we've heard of them, or maybe I just don't remember them.
Not really. I don't think so.
Okay, so new people.
The Tyroshi captain's got a green beard. Apparently, the Tyroshi like to dye their beards, which is cool.
Interesting.
Good look.
So
I guess.
she's talking to Sir Roderick, and we find out that Sir Roderick got pretty seasick.
Mm-hmm.
He's not able to handle it.
Overboard during the storm. He was like leaning over the railing, and then he fell and held on to the rope until somebody could actually carry him out. Oh, gosh.
I guess his training was not on the water. That's for sure.
Well, Winterfell is like land bound. Like there's nothing, no water around it, barely any. Yeah,
only drinking water.
Yeah.
Or wait, never mind. But anyway, so they're talking about our beloved Littlefinger, who we finally understand his name. Is that how you say it?
No, that's how the audiobook person says it. Patire. It's supposed to be pronounced Peter, but he says Patire, and it drives me
now all I'm going to be able to
insane.
think of is Patire.
Well, that's all I can think of as well.
That's kind of funny. Okay, so they talk about Mr.
Lord Littlefinger.
So Peter Littlefinger, which is
Baelish.
Oh yeah, Peter Baelish. They still call him Littlefinger, even though that was a name he got like a while ago. When he was
Catelyn's thinking about that, and she's thinking about how Littlefinger was her dad's ward, so they grew up together. And Kat's brother Edmure gave him the nickname because he comes from the smallest of the fingers and has always been small for his age. I am sure when you first read the name, that's not what you thought.
Definitely not. I was like, I remember.
You definitely thought it was a reference to his penis, didn't you? No.
Oh my god, that would have also made so much sense.
Oh my god, that's the first thing anybody thinks.
See, I just didn't think that. I was just
You're
weirded
so
out. I was
naive, you child.
I did not think of that.
Okay, what did you think?
I don't remember what I thought. I'm sure I just assumed, like, he had, like, little hands or something, so we made fun of it or whatever. So it was, like, a little finger. I don't know.
I literally just did a spit take. I was drinking water. Little hands.
I don't know. I just assumed he had little hands, and that was a big deal, because he had to be, like, manly, because he was in the King's Council or something. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, we
I
learned
took it
some
very
of,
literally.
we learned some of his backstory.
Mhm.
Apparently, he was like a brother to Catelyn, but he had romantic feelings for her. And at age 15, he challenged frickin' Brandon Stark, who was 20 years
Yeah.
old, to like battle it out for Catelyn's hand in marriage. And, understandably, Catelyn had to beg Brandon to spare her Littlefinger's life, and Brandon let him off with a scar to like remember, be like, don't mess with me again. But yeah, that's an interesting backstory.
That's interesting. Anyway, and then she's kind of just like, yeah. Oh, no, oh my god, some of the things Catelyn says, sometimes I'm like, I need to, like, write this down in my, like, quotes book. I have, like, a whole thing of quotes. So, she was like, it's one thing to be clever and another thing to be wise. And I was like, true.
Yeah.
True. But, never thought of thinking about it that way. And I was like, oh my god, Catelyn. I remember when we were, like, when Catelyn was, like, being mean to Jon, and we were like, oh my god, she's not being nice. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about her, but I like her quotes.
Who would you say so far in the series is wise?
Is wise?
Yep. Not clever, but
not
wise.
Clever, but wise.
Yeah.
That's true. I think
that's true. Okay.
Tyrion is very wise. He's like...
Oh, he's got that wisdom he dishes out to Jon all the time. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and he just, like, I also think that people who read a lot just tend to be a more wiser and more, like, they're more open to the world, and he's very avid reader.
Okay.
And he's just, like, I don't know, just the things he says,
we learn
his
interesting things about him in these chapters, so...
Yes.
might even make those things might even make him clever.
That's true. But, okay, so Tyrion. Who else is wise? Ned Stark is wise.
Old Nedard?
Yeah.
How so?
Yes. Eddard.
Chopping up people's heads, wise. That's what he does. That's the first thing he does.
That's true. But I don't think he just, goes around chopping off people's heads because he's like, oh, that's the easiest way out. I don't know. I think he's wise.
Okay.
I don't know how to justify it, though. I think he's wise. Just from his... I just feel... I think so many people in the series have just had so many unwise moments whenever there's someone who hasn't proven themselves to be
We're
unwise.
on chapter 18, let me remind you, of the first book. You have not even hit the unwise moments.
I know, but so far, I'm like, okay, Ned is definitely... Like, he's not childish. He's not immature, which is, good on your road to wise. And then I think that...
Are you saying I'm not wise?
No, I'm not saying you're not wise. Maturity is about knowing when to be immature.
Okay.
And I'm sure... Anyway, I don't think he's immature. I think he's pretty wise.
All right. Okay, Ned's wise.
I don't think anybody else is really wise.
Not Catelyn, the person who gives the quote?
Catelyn is wise, but I can't just be like, oh, she's wise, with no, like... But also,
But also what?
I think because with Tyrion and with Ed, we haven't really... with Ned, we haven't really seen, like, anything, like... I don't think we've seen them at their worst. Like you said, first chapter, 18th.
Right.
First book. And I think...
They haven't been challenged yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, unchallenged, yeah, they're pretty wise, And, but then, thing with, Catelyn is we've, like, seen her at what's not her best. So now it's just a little bit... Now there's, like, drawbacks to the... Okay, she's wise. But with them, there's just not that, like, qualifier yet. Right. So far, it's just like, they're wise. Cool. That's just what they are.
I guess as we get to know them, we'll know more.
Yes.
As is the case for everything, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, anyway, so after talking about Littlefinger, they arrive at the harbor, and, Catelyn's describing the city. She's like, oh, there's, like, 3 hills there. Well, this is actually kind of cool. So, Aegon the Conqueror and his 2 sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya, they were the ones who started King's Landing when they landed there like 300 years ago or something. And on Aegon's Hill, so there were 3 hills in that area, on Aegon's Hill, which is the highest one, there's the Red Keep, which is the castle. On Wisenia's Hill, there's the Great Sept of Baelor, which is the church type thing, like the sept. And then there on Rhaenys's Hill, there's a dragon pit for when they had dragons. And then there's like the whole city has kind of developed around it. And one of the cool things about, sorry, I'm a nerd, okay? Just let me be a nerd. I can see you judging me.
I am not judging you.
Well, when I was reading about the Red Keep and how Maegor the Cruel, who was the king who saw the, that the castle was built and finished, whatever, he apparently had every person who worked on the castle killed so that nobody would ever know its secrets.
Yeah, that was...
Well, he is Maegor the Cruel, so...
That's true. It's very fitting, but I read that and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, but interestingly, it reminded me of something. It reminded me of the Taj Mahal, which is... So it's a mausoleum built by Shah Jahan, which was the emperor at that time, for his queen. And it said that he never wanted it to be replicated. So once it was finished, he cut off the hands of every person who worked on it. So it reminded me of that.
Oh my god.
I don't think there's like actual evidence for it, but I do know that's like a story. That's like surrounding the whole thing.
Right.
There's your historical fact of the day.
Oh my god.
It's just, well, wait. It's just printing presses and historical architecture for you on this podcast. That's what this podcast should actually be about.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I feel like I have to cough and then I pause, but then the cough doesn't actually come. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so that's a cool thing, I thought. So anyway, they reach the city. That's the main point. And, Catelyn has been kind of describing this Tyroshi captain, Moreo, or whatever his name is. And, she's, like, stereotyping him as, like, all the Tyroshi are so greedy. But at this point, we see that he is kind of shady, honestly. Mm-hmm. Catelyn's really impressed at the speed they got to the city, so she's like, to all the oarsmen, I'm gonna give them a silver stag each. He's like, oh, let me hold on to it for them. They're gonna just gamble it away. But Catelyn doesn't trust him and gives them each like their individual...
A man must make his own choices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that was just, a thing. And then Catelyn asked this captain, who she doesn't trust at all, for like an inn to stay in. She's like, hey, basically, this is my address. Go tell everyone. That's literally basically what she's saying.
That's true. She's like, oh, I don't trust you with their money, but with me? Oh yeah, totally. I'm totally not on a top secret mission.
Yeah. But he's like, oh yeah, this inn up on this street or alley or whatever is cool. And she gets up there, they set up, and she rests while Sir Roderick goes to fetch the king's master-at-arms, Sir Aaron or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, Sir Aaron. Okay, so he goes to fetch Sir Aaron, and Kat's like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. So then she's woken up by a pounding on her door, as it's described, and I got really scared at this point. I was like, oh no. So she goes up, and they're like, open in the name of the king. At this point I was like, okay, we are busted. These are like, this is clearly somebody from the king's, like, this is official affairs. This isn't just like, like the like sweep, like someone who sweeps the floors coming in to be like, hey,
this is not room service.
yeah I couldn't remember room service. I was like, someone who sweeps the floors. Okay. Anyway, so then they come in, and it's the City Watch.
Yep.
Which is interesting. Were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's the City Watchmen.
Yeah.
Who've come to take Catelyn to the castle, and they hand her a ribbon with Littlefinger's mockingbird seal on it, and she's like, interesting. And she thinks
Pater's seal.
Patire, that's how
Oh, Pater's seal.
Patire is the wrong way to see it, but Peter is the actual way to say it.
Yes. Peter.
Anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so Patire has sent for her, and she's like, oh, well, our secret is out. And she's thinking, oh, it's probably the Tyroshi captain who told on her, because obviously, like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If I was a Tyroshi captain, I would tell on her, because that was just not a smart decision. Like, please tell me exactly where to stay so that people can get a hold of me.
That's true.
On this secret mission.
Yeah, literally.
But she gets dressed and she's escorted through the city to the castle and up a bunch of stairs to Littlefinger. And as somebody who doesn't like climbing stairs, I was totally understanding of her being mad at him. She was like, I am not accustomed to being summoned like a serving person.
Oh my god.
That's what she says.
Yes. I enjoyed your voice.
Oh, it's my voice that's like still like a sickness. It's my sick voice. But anyway, okay. Thank you. So she gets there and, Littlefinger is like, "Hey, Cat, been a long time no see. What you been up to?
Why you here?
Yeah.
He's trying to like, I'm like, buddy, this is, I just feel like he's kind of clueless. I'm wondering how he rose through, well, he's clever.
Is he clueless?
But
I feel like he's kind of pumping her for information.
I know, but then that's what, see, when I was first reading it, I was like, oh, this is an act. But then we got to the part where he didn't even, well, okay, well, maybe he did know, and he was, no, but why would he be acting? Sorry, I'm literally thinking out loud.
Okay, hold on. Let's take it one at a time. So,
yes.
As she's just kind of like, calming him down, like, calm down there, I'll tell you what I want to tell you, or whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly. Lord Varys, or Varys, I like saying Varys because it sounds way more hoity-toity. Lord Varys comes in, and apparently, Littlefinger actually, before even he comes in, tells her that he's the one who heard of her visit, because he's the master of whisperers, if you remember. Mm-hmm. He has his little bird informants in the city, and that's how they know what happened and what she's up to, or that she's here. But Littlefinger doesn't know about the purpose of the visit yet, so he asks her, and that's when Varys comes in, and he's like, where's that dagger? Like, basically, like, without ever, like, even, he talks about Bran a bit. He's like, I can totally get your son healed. And she's like, I don't trust you. And then he's like, well, if you don't trust me, then show me the dagger, which is, like, the biggest secret here,
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, how could he know that? That is something that no one shall ever know, or no one could ever know. And then I'm like, Catelyn, how do you not understand how he works? Like, Littlefinger he's called a master of whisperers. Littlefinger has just told you about his little bird informants. Like, obviously the word's gonna get around if your guy's gonna be...
Isn't Varys the one with all of his informants and everything?
Yeah, but... Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I?
You said Littlefinger was the one with his birds.
No, okay, really sorry.
Confused.
Let me restart. So Catelyn is like, how could he possibly know that?
Yeah.
But I'm like, obviously he knows that because he's got all these informants. Like, how do you not get that?
That's true, yeah.
So she's not being quite wise when she thinks that. But, he knows that Sir Roderick was in the castle. He talked to Sir Aaron, and then they went off to the inn, and that they're there now, apparently. That, like, that's information we didn't necessarily know. And so, she pulls out the dagger. She's like, here it is. She throws it on the table. And Varys touches it, and, he cuts his finger, and Littlefinger's like, aha, my dagger. Why did you...
Aha. He's like, why'd you have to talk to anybody else about this?
Just
and
come
she's
to
like,
me.
Yeah. And then
he's like, Sorry, you say it.
And then he tells us that it's Tyrion's.
Yeah, well, it was Littlefinger's until he lost it in a bet to Tyrion. And it was on Joffrey's name day, which is their version of birthday, in case you haven't figured it out yet. On his tourney, Littlefinger, sorry, so many names here. On Joffrey's name day tourney, Littlefinger bet on Jaime Lannister, but Jaime Lannister lost to Loras Tyrell.
Who's Loras Tyrell?
It's somebody we haven't met yet.
Okay,
but it's somebody who Jaime lost to.
Right.
And therefore he lost his knife, and the queen lost a necklace, and Jaime Lannister lost like 100 golden dragons or something. Except the queen got her necklace back, apparently. But the big reveal here, obviously, is that the dagger belongs to Tyrion. Now, what did you think of this?
I instantly, I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh, when Nav would be like, oh, so like, do you remember that one when we were talking about when Tyrion was like, oh, I can't believe you don't trust me. Like, I'd do
I would do
anything for this family.
For my family. I love
and I
my
remember
family.
you kept like annoying me about that line. And I was like, whatever. And I wasn't really paying attention. And I was like, so there was a purpose to her annoying me about it? But then afterwards, I didn't.
There's always a purpose to me annoying you about anything.
So then I was like, or is he being framed because Jaime doesn't like need him, you know, or something? Like, I was like, or maybe I was like, well, maybe Jaime doesn't trust him, so he's trying to get rid of him.
How is Jaime framing him though? Because Jaime's like all the way still at the Trident, or on the way to King's Landing, and this is Littlefinger who's telling us about the dagger.
I mean, like, by giving the guy Tyrion's sword.
Oh, okay.
So then it doesn't come back to me, because I feel like that's pretty stupid.
But, okay, so
like,
the reason they're trying to kill Bran is so that he doesn't reveal the secret about the twins, and they're fucking,
Yeah.
But, like, but if it's Tyrion is framed for it, that still puts a suspicion on the Lannisters. Would Jaime want to do that? I mean, if he doesn't like his brother enough, I guess, but still.
I guess you're right. I guess that's still too that's true. Why specifically? But then at the same time, so then it could be like somebody else framing them, because I don't think
so somebody else
Tyrion's
took
not
Tyrion.
That dumb.
So somebody else took Tyrion's dagger and gave it to the assassin. Like, I need to know what you're saying.
That's true. See, Kate, you know what? I'm just gonna go with my previous prediction before you decided to annoy me about it and ruin my prediction. So my previous thing,
I decided to actually analyze it and point out the mistakes.
Yes, exactly. So wait, what was I saying? Oh, so I was going between like two things. I was like, okay, Tyrion did this. And then I was like, wait, but why would Tyrion use his own sword?
Right.
But then I was
dagger,
like, maybe
it's not a sword.
Why would he use his own dagger? Then I was like, okay, maybe he like really trusted that the job would get done,
That would make sense.
I
mean, we'll talk about it in the next chapter, but there are some indications.
Okay.
I don't know if you picked up on them, but there are.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to Jon 3. Jon is at the wall now. He's training with the other recruits of the Night's Watch. And, he's better than everybody at fighting.
Oh, of course he is.
And their trainer, Sir Alistair, the Master-at-Arms, is a mean old grump, and nobody likes him.
Yeah. He doesn't like anybody either.
Yeah. And so, they're training, and Jon is, like, beating everybody down, and I think he's fighting Gren, one of the boys, and he hits him on his wrist so hard that it, like, sprains or, like, heavily bruises or something. And that's when Sir Alistair ends the training, and they're going off to the armory to, like, take off all their stuff and get ready for the day or whatever. Yeah. And Jon's thinking about how cold it is, and that in a few years he would forget what it felt like to be warm, which I can 100% relate to. Up here in Canada, it gets so cold, and I have such bad circulation that like my feet right now, I'm wearing 3 freaking pairs of socks and my toes are still cold. My toes do not thaw until it's summer. And this summer, because of freaking COVID, I didn't even get to go do that because it was like, you don't get to go anywhere, so you don't ever leave your house. And it's like, ah! So my toes have been cold for over a year now. End of my spiel.
Rest in peace, Nav's toes.
You know how, like, I 100% relate to John, but I'm, like, not a big fan of John. This is another thing that I related to him on.
So you are just John.
Yeah, basically, you know.
Oh my god.
Our emo lives and cold hearts, they match up.
Oh my god, that's kind of funny.
Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, he's just thinking about how cold he is, and he's like, I'm never gonna be warm again. Sad vibes, and it's just further into his, you know, his
misery about the Night's
misery.
Watch, and he's like learned that everything sucks.
Yeah.
Like they're not
and,
cool.
Oh
as
my
he
god,
thought.
he's okay. There was so you know, most of the time I'm like willing to forgive him, and I'm like, you know what? He's like a 14-year-old kid, and like, you know, like I'm willing to
15 now. He had his name day.
Right. Yeah, on his name day. So I'm like, usually I'm willing to like forgive his little like weird fits of, you know, privilege and entitlement. So I'm like, okay, you know what, whatever. But then there was that part where he's like, my uncle abandoned me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, buddy, your uncle is not your uncle. Like, your uncle has a lot of things to do. The Night's Watch is falling apart, as we've talked about many times in this chapter and before. Like, the Night's Watch is falling apart. All the high officers need to be doing their shit. And, like, people are getting lost.
They don't have time to give you special treatment. And, you know, John's like... Okay, sorry. Say your thing.
No. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, you know, he's sad about that this is his life now and that nobody cares for him. And, you know, one of the things... So, okay, today I was reading something. It's actually... If you guys have never heard of it, you should definitely check out Race for the Iron Throne. Harmouth, not you, because it has spoilers for days. Exactly. And it's this website where Stephen Atwell, who does the website, he analyzes each chapter by like historical, political relevance and like relevance in the whole story and everything. And one of the things he pointed out, which I hadn't thought about it, but one of the things was that one of the reasons John wanted to be a part of the Night's Watch was so that he could leave his family behind and make a name for himself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, but now he's at the wall, he still expects special treatment. That makes no sense. Like, either like, you know, I really hate this phrase. I'm not going to say it. Either like grow up or you know, deal with it. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
you
like,
can't really. I think it's kind of just one of the. It just comes back to he doesn't like. He's a kid. He doesn't understand. He didn't understand what he was getting into. He's like, oh, like I'm gonna go to the wall and everything's gonna be fine, and I'm not gonna need any of this. But now, I think only now he's gonna begin to realize like how much he really had. You know? Yeah. Well, like, he just doesn't understand.
In this chapter, he does realize some of that. And, you know, he's just sulking. He's like, oh, Winterfell was so warm and my siblings were amazing. And
even though he would complain about them all the time before.
Exactly.
But anyway.
So anyway, at this point, some of the boys that he beat in the yard surround him and they're like, hey, douche. Sorry. Hey, dude. What's your damage, Heather? Basically. And, you know, they call, I think, John's mother a sex worker, and that gets him really worked up, and they fight, and, you know, John's, like, about to smash a kid to death, basically.
Yeah.
When Donald Noy, the armorer, breaks up the fight and gives John a talking to, which I thought was very much deserved.
Yeah.
You talk.
And everything that he said was, like, literally what I was thinking at this point, you know? Like, everything he said, I was like, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's like, you're offended at your mom being called a sex worker, but, like, you don't actually know. Like, you know,
Yeah.
she may as well have been. And John's like, I imagine,
Yeah.
well, in his mind, he's like, I imagine her as a beautiful, highborn lady with kind eyes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And also, like, he kind of says, like, what did he say? Oh, he was like, words won't make your mother, like, what they're, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I was kind of saying the same thing. I was like, you know what? Like, you can't, like,
yeah, you don't know anything about your mother.
Defending your mother here isn't going to do anything for her.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
for you.
If she was a sex worker, she was a sex worker. If she was a
Yeah.
highborn lady, that's gonna remain the same,
Yeah,
no matter what
exactly.
people say.
Yeah.
The point is that you just don't know. And, like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that bothers John, obviously, that he doesn't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Still.
Because he's like, no, my mom was like this, right? You know, like, he wants to think that that's what's true.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, Noi tells him that this is your life now. Deal with it. And John's like, life? You talk about life? You had a whole life before you came to the wall, and I'm just a green boy of 14. Sorry, I don't know what's with the voices today. I wish I could stop. But anyway, so John's bitter about the fact that he's, you know, so young and already at the wall, and he's like, Noi forged Robert's frickin' Warhammer, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then when he was like 30 years old, so old, he lost his arm, and that's when he took the black.
Yeah.
I mean, to John, that's like twice his life, obviously, but still, like, it was. John wanted to come to the wall before he was even forced to, really.
That's true, yeah. But once again, he didn't know the wall that he was coming to. Like, he was talking, I think it was, how do you say his name? Donald
Noi.
I think it was Donald Noi who told him. He was like, oh, it's not like the stories your wet nurse told you, right? And I was like, yeah, that just kind of further shows you, like, the wall isn't really what any of them thought it is.
Exactly. And, you know, at one point, John's thinking the only person that told him the truth was Tyrion. So, interesting. Let's see. Sorry, I forgot. Anyway, so Noi basically toss sense into John is like, and reminds him of his privilege, you know, because John thinks he's better than everyone because he can fight, but Noi reminds him that all these kids never had a master at arms to train them. They're like farmers and other things that don't do fighting. So John acting all, you know, up on his high horse is not going to help him because it's going to get him killed. There's 20 of them and one of him, basically.
Yeah. And once they get trained, like, it's not like they're going to get trained and then, like, leave. It's like, no, once they get trained, like, y'all are at the same level and they're going to kill you.
Well, they're, as Alistair Thorne seems to think, they're kind of a lost cause. I think they could definitely improve, but John has had training for most of his life. I don't think they can get as good as him.
No, I'm not saying they don't have to get as good as him, though. Like, if there's more of them and they're getting better, like,
even
that's
now,
not...
Even now, they can beat his ass, all 20 of them against one, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, John kind of is ashamed of himself at this point and, you know, kind of realizes his mistake a little.
Emphasis on a little.
Yeah, Donald Noi lets him go by telling him, you know, either change your attitude or keep a knife by your bed because somebody's gonna kill you. And then later we find out that John sleeps with Ghost in his cell, and I was like, you don't need no knife, he just got Ghost. Yeah. But that's beside the point. Anyway, John walks out. He is free to go. And he walks outside and he sees the wall and he's like, ooh, this wall, quite the wall, they say. So this is the first time we're actually seeing the wall. We've heard of it, you know, and we kind of figured that it was a wall of ice because it was weeping in the warm days or whatever, right? But here we actually learn about it. So it's the largest structure ever built by man.
And the most useless one at that.
Why is it useless?
That's what Tyrion says.
Tyrion says, right? Well, Tyrion don't know what lies beyond. It's 700 freaking feet high. And it's wide enough for 10 armored knights to ride abreast. Now that's what's more amazing to me than even the height, really. That's really wide.
Yeah, the fact that they, like, built that. Because, you know, it's easier to picture building higher than it is to picture building wider.
Because that's, like, layers upon layers upon layers of wall.
Exactly, yeah.
But, and then he's also thinking about Castle Black, which seems like toy blocks against the wall, because, you know, the wall is 700 feet high. And he's talking about the structure of it, you know, that it only has the wall to the north. There's, like, no walls around it. Like, because their purpose is not to defend against the south. It's to defend against the north. Mm-hmm. And at its prime, it used to house 5,000 people. But now there's only 500. So a lot of the parts of it are, room. But also a lot of the towers are falling into ruin because nobody can use and upkeep them. Yeah. We also learn about the whole kind of a bit of a structure of the Night's Watch. There's 19 castles on the wall, but there's only 3 in use right now. That sucks. There's Eastwatch by the sea, the Shadow Tower by the mountains, and then Castle Black in between them. And that's it. Like, on this whole wall that expands the continent. I mean, if the others wanted to get through, I'm just thinking of that.
Yeah, literally. There's so many, like,
places to just do whatever.
Yeah. And yet they're like, oh, why can't we guard this? Because...
Why can't we guard this? What do you mean?
Like, there's, like, so many people going missing and so many things going wrong, yet it's not, like, fully, like,
it's not fully staffed. Because, all the people that really go there now are, like, criminals who choose to go to the wall rather than be killed. Before, it used to be, like, a thing of honor, and people would volunteer for it, like John did. But that's not really the case anymore. And, you know, it's kind of that thing, like, out of sight, out of mind. People don't really... the White Walkers have... Sorry. The others have... they're called White Walkers in the show. I'm just gonna tell you. It's just, like, a thing that I'm gonna keep messing up. It's... I don't know. They're called Others in the book and White Walkers in the show. Because they're all made of ice or whatever, right? So the others... they supposedly have been gone for 8,000 years. Like, 8,000, give anything 100 years and people start forgetting about it, you know? And 8,000 years, it's just so far out of their mind, you know? That they don't think that it's important to man the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, my voice is leaving me. Let's get this wrapped up.
Okay.
So, as John's admiring the wall, Tyrion walks up, and they talk about what lies beyond the wall. And at one point, Tyrion makes the mistake of calling Jon Lord Snow. Snow. Jon's not happy about that. But Tyrion says, sharing his wisdom,
like, let them see that their words cannot cut you, and you'll never be free of the mockery.
No, that's not what he says. He says, let them see that their words can cut you, and you'll never be free of the mockery.
I don't know why I said
you were like so into it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, anyway.
But he's basically like, if they want to give you nicknames, take them, own them. They can't hurt you anymore with them. Basically, last time he talked to Jon, he was basically like, in Winterfell, take who you are and wear it as armor, and nobody can hurt you with it. Same thing, same idea. Names. Yeah.
That's true.
So anyway, they get together and they walk to the common hall to eat because it's like midday now. And as they're like sitting there, they talk about how a few things. You know, it comes up that Jon's sleeping in one of the broken towers. That's when we learn how much in disrepair the whole castle is. Yeah. And that Benjen Stark, his uncle, is late coming back from his ranging. And that he was supposed to be back by Jon's name day, but that was a fortnight ago. So Jon's 15 now. We know that.
Yay! Happy birthday!
Yeah. Jon remembers wishing his uncle was dead when he left because he wouldn't take him. And now he feels guilty because his uncle might actually be dead, you know?
Oh my god.
And they talk about how Benjen went out looking for Sir, as we fondly know him, Sir Waymar Royce, because he comes from a noble house, so they need to, like... But, see, this is another instance. This is special treatment. They're putting more effort into looking for this person from a noble house than they would anybody else. So, in a way, there is special treatment. But who decides who gets special treatment?
That's true. Is there anybody above the commander?
No, the Lord Commander is the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Okay. And I guess, okay. All right. I guess also, like, if people, like... Actually, no. I was gonna say, like, oh, like, if people do more for the surface of the wall, and then I was like, I'm sure Stark does stuff for the surface of the wall. I think it's just, like...
Wait, what do you mean?
No, I was just thinking about, like, special treatment and stuff, and I was like, oh, like, why wouldn't they treat Jon specially? And then I was like, well, it's, I guess, because he's not, like, his actual son. Maybe that's why.
Sir Waymar Royce is nobody to Benjen. It's just because the Lord Commander, I assume, has decided that because he's the son of a nobleman, that he needs to be treated, or, you know, or maybe because he's a knight. I don't know. All I'm saying is there is special treatment, but at the same time, there's like a resistance to special treatment. So, so along with the castle, like the actual structure and like the honor of the Night's Watch is also kind of falling apart.
That's
just
true,
saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, as they're about to eat, Sir Alistair comes up and he's like, hey, the Lord Commander wants to see you. And he's like, I don't want to tell you what it's about, but Tyrion like makes him, and he's like, it's about Bran, whatever, go. And as soon as, you know, they hear that, Tyrion all of a sudden is like, hey Jon, I'm so sorry. Like, he immediately assumes the worst.
I know. And I was like, okay, at this point, I was like, okay, we've seen him be, I literally wrote down 1, 2, 3. This is where I started, like, actually thinking about, like, what could have happened. I literally stopped. I was like, I wrote, like, oh my lord, he did it. And then I was like, wait. So I was like, okay, so first of all, Tyrion isn't exactly, like, a cup half full, like, optimistic guy. Like, right. I feel, and also Bran's condition was, you know,
pretty severe,
and Tyrion,
yeah.
And as we've seen in this chapter, like Jon even says, like, Tyrion's the only one who told me the truth about the Night's Watch. Like, so I was like, I think if
maybe
he had
Tyrion's
nothing to do with
realist.
it, yeah, I think even if he had nothing to do with it, that would be his response.
But at the same time, if he did have something to do with it, that would still be his response.
Exactly,
so.
exactly.
It works both ways.
You're right. But I was like, just because immediately my brain went to, oh my god, he did it. So then I had to stop myself and think about the other side and be like, okay, but he would say that even if he didn't do it. So Harmit, calm down. So I don't know what's going on. Everybody is suspicious.
Okay, well, keep that in the back of our minds. So Jon, at this point, is so shook that he runs to the commander's keep and reaches Jeor Mormont, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, who gives him Rob's letter and is like, hey, I'm sorry, your brother, he can no walk. And Jon's like, wait, what? Who cares? He's alive. He's freaking alive. And he says he's going to live. And the ravens starts like cawing. Live, live, live. Isn't that what ravens do? Do they caw?
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, so the Raven's excited too, and Jon, like, runs back to the common hall, picks up Tyrion, spins him around, and tells him that Bran is going to live, and then Tyrion looks startled. So now, again, this could be Tyrion looks startled because Bran's gonna live, or Tyrion looks startled because he was just picked up and spun for no reason. Like, you know, like, I would be startled if somebody just picked me up and started.
That's true, yeah. That's
so,
true.
Again, could be both ways.
Yeah,
but
true.
Should keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Also, the Raven. Wait, hold up. the raven muttered corn, which was also like Bran's little
but I
dream
think
sequence.
they eat corn, so that's like a thing that they just learn to say.
I see.
Yeah, because the raven is just mimicking what Jon is saying, you know?
Oh, that's true, yeah. He was doing
like,
that the whole time.
it says, the Lord Commander says corn, I think, and then it starts saying corn, corn, corn when he has it in his hand, or he, like, picks up some corn, I can't remember. And then Jon says live, that's why the raven starts saying live, live, live.
I see.
Yeah, I think it's like a parrot, not necessarily, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so, as, you know, there's all this excitement in the common hall, people start gathering around, and Jon notices Gren, the boy that he hurt in the yard, and, he's like, hey, I could totally help you train and figure out how to defend against that move. And Sir Alistair's nearby, and he's like, oh, you're gonna take over my job now? Is that so great, Lord Snow? I bet I can teach a wolf to juggle before you can teach this lot how to battle or fight or whatever. And Jon's like, well, I'll take that wager. I'd love to see Ghost juggle. So, like, this is the first time he breaks out of his mopey emo self and is like, I'll crack a joke. And, you know, everybody starts laughing, except Sir Alistair, who is not happy.
That was a grievous error, Lord Snow.
Yeah. So, another enemy for Jon. Well, I guess he's made a friend out of Gren, so he lost an enemy and he gained an enemy.
Yes, that is true.
So that's all the 3 chapters. Whew.
Oh my god.
I have one more note here. Hold on. Okay, since we're already here, I'm just gonna, this could probably be saved for another time, but I'm gonna just do it now. Since I was reading Stephen Atwell's analysis today, one of the things that he pointed out was that historical forces similar to the Night's Watch, you know, in the actual world, were actually encouraged to have families so that they could have future generations of soldiers to, you know, man the wall. And I thought that was actually a good idea, because the Night's Watch aren't allowed to have families or kids or wives.
Yeah. And now they're running out of people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this would be good for them, because if your family's history and honor are kind of bound to the Night's Watch, you would defend it more vigorously. You know,
that's
like
true.
How, you know, anybody at Winterfell, if somebody was to be like, I'm gonna take over your castle, they would obviously not be okay with that, you know, and defend against that. So why not just make the Night's Watch hereditary?
That's true.
But yeah, so that was just
because before it did used to be a thing of honor. I was gonna say, like, well, if it's only like criminals going there, but before it was this like this prestige. They
like,
definitely
the
should have
argument,
done that.
I think it'll come up, but the argument is like, love makes you forget honor. Like, if you have family, you would like abandon your watch to go be with your family, but if your family's like honor is tied to the watch, then I don't think so.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If everybody is at the watch, then who are you gonna, like, if you can't abandon the watch to go be with your family, they're already there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like, anybody who has read all the books and stuff, really seriously check out Race for the Iron Throne. I'm sure most of you already know what it is, but I've been a fan of Stephen Atwell and his writing for a long time. In fact, like, he's like a dream guest of mine. I would love to speak to him on the podcast but like, he has such vast knowledge that I would want it to be once we've finished the books. Like, I don't think we could get into all the nitty gritty of things if like you've only read 1 or even 4 of the 5 books. But yeah, anyway, so that was a little fan moment for me. Check out Race for the Iron Throne. I'm totally gonna keep plugging it because it's amazing. And for like a history and politics buff like me, oh my gosh, just I love it. Okay. Now, I think we do predictions usually, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so predictions. I actually wrote out these questions. I'm so prepared. Huh? pat on the back for myself. So, going to Bran's chapter, do you think we'll see that three-eyed crow again?
Not right away. Like, I don't think it's just gonna, like, follow Bran around like his wolf, you know? I don't think we're gonna...
But not even like in a dream or whatever?
Yeah, that could be interesting if, like, all of his dreams were, like, with the crow somehow. You know what? I'm gonna predict that just because that would be cool.
So, in his dreams.
In his dreams, we see the crow. It
Okay.
takes one form or another.
Okay. And what does that third eye mean? I mean, at the end, the crow pecks Bran's forehead as if to open his third eye. And, you know, in other literature and stuff, the third eye is supposed to be like, you see more, or you have, and like in the chapter itself, it was like, it has more terrible knowledge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it means for this series?
The third eye? I think it just has the same thing, like, where it's just, like... See, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be necessarily for Bran. It'll just be, like, more for the series. And if we do see it was the crow, right? Yeah. If we do see, like, the crow again, then I think it'll have more meaning if we see the crow again. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like Bran has this third eye now.
But the crow does peck him in the middle of the forehead.
I know, but...
Why would he do that if it wasn't to give Bran a third eye? I'm just asking, like... Yeah. I'm not saying it's one way or the other. I'm just asking because it's the logical question to ask.
That's true. I don't know.
I mean, in this dream, Bran sees things that only a third eye could enable him to see, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
but he didn't
things
have
far
that,
away.
But he didn't have that, like the pecking was after he saw all that. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So I just don't think, like, the pecking is
Maybe it was like a trailer for what you can get. Like an ad for the product.
Oh my god.
Get a third eye and see all the whole realm.
Oh my god. Like, I do get what you mean. Like, I think maybe for, like, if we're like, okay, Bran has a third eye now, maybe his third eye is just like, you know, like, this is definitely, like, perspective shifting, you know? He's not gonna be the same person he was. He's definitely gonna see things through, you know, a different third eye than he used to. So that could be, like, Bran's shift. But
that depends on what he remembers, I guess.
That's true.
Speaking of which, do you think he'll remember who pushed him out the window?
Because he did say, you don't need this anymore.
But he did remember it briefly. I don't know.
You know what? I think he's gonna... Okay, but then he wakes up. That's too easy. Actually, no. I think he's gonna remember it.
Okay. And what's he gonna do with that information?
I think he's gonna remember it, but he might be scared to say it or whatever. Or someone may, like, threaten him. What if there's, like, somebody else there who's, like, not on their side, who's like, you better shut up. Or your dad's gonna get killed, you know? Like, the Lannisters are there and your dad's... like, you know, like, something...
Right, like what you would threaten a little kid with.
Yeah.
Threaten a little kid with. What you would threaten a little kid with. I'm sorry. I'm so, like, I don't know. I was feeling fine, but I feel like as we've been talking, my nose is getting congested again, and I'm, like, back to my sick voice. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
So anyway, okay. So you think he'll remember, but be too scared to tell. Got it. We talked about those shadows that are surrounding his family. We know, you know, one's the Hound, one's Jaime Lannister. We don't know who the giant in armor made of stone is. We might figure it out later. Moving on to Cat. What do you think of Littlefinger?
Littlefinger is peculiar.
You don't say.
I don't really know what to make of him. He's just, like, originally, like, I remember we talked about it during the chapter 2, I was like, he's just trying to manipulate her, you know? He's using the friendship to manipulate her, and that's why he knows anything in the first place. And then when he didn't totally know about the sword thing, he was like, what sword? I was like, oh, he's definitely just being used to manipulate Cat. But then I was like...
Used by who, though?
Used by... What's
the Lannisters, Jaime Lannister.
No. What's the 5-letter?
Varys.
First I was like, but then I was like, wait, but they're on a council together. You know, like, I feel like they have...
Right,
you know,
but
they probably have respect
information about the dagger. Like, okay,
Yeah.
So think about it. Sir Roderick left the castle at sunset, and that's when Cat was woken up by the pounding. So, like, it's only been a few minutes. Like, maybe Varys hasn't had a chance to tell Littlefinger about the dagger.
I don't know.
Varys only knows because he has all his informants. So the informants inform him, but maybe he just hasn't had time to inform Littlefinger.
That's true. That's possible, but I don't know. I just don't think it's that.
Okay.
I think he kept it from him on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Littlefinger is manipulating Cat, but on the whole, he's actually being manipulated by
Yes.
Varys. Okay.
Yes.
So you don't think he's actually trying to help Cat?
I think he probably will. Actually, I think he wants to help Cat as much as he can because, you know, he has this soft spot for her, but I don't think he's gonna be like, he's definitely not gonna be like, let's betray the king, you know? But I think he's definitely gonna try and get her, like, out of, like, he's not trying to, you know, ruin her life.
But
because
if he's manipulating her, it's to his own end, if that's what you think.
Yeah.
Okay, and how is he manipulating her?
Like, at the beginning of the chapter, just when he was trying to get, like, the information from her.
Okay.
Like, when he was like, oh, like, hey, dear friend, why are you here?
Okay, so here's an interesting question. Do you think he still loves Cat?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was a very firm
I think
yes.
so. I think he still loves Cat.
Okay.
I don't know if he still, like, loves Cat, but he
has a certain affection for her that he just can't let go because, you know, first love, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Cool. All right. Okay, moving on to, well, kind of John's chapter to kind of Catelyn's chapter.
Wait, 1 second. And I think, like, Varys obviously knows that, because they were talking about it. They were like, oh, does Varys know? And he's like, he knows everything except why you're here. So I think Varys definitely knows that he has that soft spot for Catelyn, and that's probably one of the only reasons he even knew what he knew. So he could try to get, you know, the information from Cat. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, we're starting to not make as much sense anymore, so let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, what is your consensus on, did Tyrion send the assassin?
No.
He didn't?
No.
What makes you say that?
I think
I think the points you made were that he's just too smart for it. I think that was, like, your point.
That too. I think he's too smart to send his own sword. And dagger. Unless here's a prediction. Unless he wants to, you know, unless he wants to draw
You just said unless like 6 times.
Unless he's trying to draw the blame on himself so that his family doesn't suffer for it, even though he knows it's his family's fault.
Okay.
You know, like,
so if he did send the assassin, it would be because Bran knows about Jaime and Cersei and their relationship, so Tyrion wants to protect them in his weird, convoluted way.
Yes.
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So let's move on to Jon. So was Jon's mother a highborn lady? What do you think about that? Or was she a sex worker? Or just some random person that Ned had a liking to?
I don't think she was a sex worker because Ned didn't really, like, go and sleep around. You know?
Right. And he does, like, seem to have like a special, like Ned seems to have a special place in his heart for her.
I don't think it would
whatever.
just be this like random lady that he slept with for fun, you know?
Okay.
I think
but
it's
a highborn lady could be a random lady that he slept with.
That's true. I don't know. I just feel like she's not. I feel like she's probably somewhere in the middle, not like highborn.
And not a sex worker, so just like a common person.
Yeah.
Who Ned liked.
Yes.
But if it was just like a random person, why would Ned go to all of this trouble to like conceal her identity?
That's true. We've talked about this before, and I don't know. Because it doesn't make sense, you know? It's like this guy of this, like, high stature and this high honor, and he really prides himself on that, and he was engaged.
He was actually married.
Catelyn... he was married.
Well,
he just hadn't,
he was married.
Yeah, they just hadn't, like, Catelyn just hadn't come over from Tully yet, right?
Yeah,
was that it?
I think she was pregnant with Rob.
Yeah.
Or not, I know they were married... or like at least engaged. Anyway, they were in a relationship that meant serious commitment.
Yeah. And so
there's like
random
because I think Jon is a bit older than Rob, but so it was either that, you know, Ned conceived Jon, got married to Catelyn, and then, or maybe Jon was like a preemie. That's why he's older. Because, there needs to be... Anyway, sorry. My brain's going to try and do the math, but I think there's a little bit of a mix-up there somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so you think she was somebody special, but...
Yes.
We obviously don't know who.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's up with Benjen Stark?
The others got him, man. Winter's coming. Just kidding.
You think so?
I don't want to think
I mean,
so.
he did follow the tracks of Sir, and we know where Sir ended up, so...
Okay, that's true. Okay, you know what? I don't want to think it, but that's my prediction.
That he is a zombie made by the others? Or that he's just been killed by the others?
I think he's a zombie made by the others.
Okay, so Jon will probably come across him, but he'll just be in zombie form?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for Jon already having to deal with that. Okay, next question. This, by far, is the most important one.
Okay.
Will Ghost learn to juggle?
Ghost will not learn to juggle because Sir Alistair will probably try to murder him before he tries to teach him to juggle.
Okay, well, we did, we've seen Sir Alistair try to teach, and he is not a very good teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna applaud us for that. That was like it's been like an hour and a half. We're getting there.
Oh my god.
Okay, so now, since I can't have you literally like flip the pages, because you might flip too far or flip not far enough, I'm just gonna tell you what the next chapters we're gonna read
You're
are.
telling me all the titles?
Yes.
I thought I was only getting the first. Okay, go for it.
Well, because I want to see your reactions. So we're reading chapters 20, 21, and 22.
Okay.
And those are the titles. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. No. You were like so interested. You actually leaned in. Okay, so the first chapter is Eddard 4.
Oh my god. How many? We're literally gonna have... It's gonna go Eddard, Catelyn, Jon, Bran, Eddard, Catelyn, Jon,
There's
Bran
other
forever.
characters.
I know, but it keeps going to them. They've literally had millions of chapters.
Okay, so Eddard
Yes.
is gonna be... Where do you think he's gonna be?
I think they're gonna be like one stop away from King's Landing.
Oh my god.
You know?
Well, I don't know. It just seems like a really long journey.
I know,
thinking
literally.
about it.
I know. I think they'll be like so close. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They'll be, like,
will he
super
learn
close.
about Catelyn's visit to King's Landing? Or that Bran has woken up? Or, any of the information we learned?
He can't really do any of that until... Well, he could possibly learn about... He's not going to learn about Bran's waking up yet, because even Catelyn doesn't... Like, nobody there knows that, like, where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, like, Tyrion came back and he was like, hey guys, great news.
That's
but
a long journey. How would
exactly,
Tyrion like catch up with them?
I was just gonna
It's
say, like
3 weeks from the wall to Winterfell.
I know. I was getting there, but you cut me off. I was gonna say, like, other than that, which wouldn't happen like right away. So I just don't see a way for them to know that. What was the other question? You were like, oh, are they gonna know about Bran or
Catelyn.
Oh, is he gonna know about Catelyn? The only way he could know about Catelyn is if another person came down the road to meet them. You know how we had like people come to meet them.
So what if whenever, in whichever chapter we see Ned, I almost said Eddard, Ned get to King's Landing, what will he learn about Catelyn then?
Oh.
I mean, they're going to be in the same city, so
I think you'll find out, but I don't know if they're going to be like, hey, your wife's here.
right.
You know?
Okay, yeah, he's the hand of the king, and, she's on a secret mission, technically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anyway, so the next chapter after that is Tyrion 3.
Interesting. We'll find out some juicy stuff there.
Will we? You think so?
Well, he's definitely going to think about it. Think about what we want to know. We're going to find some...
We don't have to know each and every one of his thoughts.
I know,
that's definitely a trope. That's definitely a thing that George R. R. Martin does. Like, he just doesn't make his characters think about stuff sometimes that he doesn't want us to know about.
Oh, I hate that.
Ned thinks about... Ned never thinks about Jon's mom, and we're like curious about her, things like that. Oh,
that's true. You're right. Oh my god. Okay, well, he's gonna think something. Even if he isn't he might think like something suspicious and like, what am I saying? So he might think like a coded thought,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
all right.
I don't think they're just not gonna say anything.
We'll get some hints about what's up there. Is all you're saying? Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
We might get like I didn't know this was gonna happen. And that could mean, like, he just didn't know this was gonna happen, or, his plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna get some, like, really coded weird stuff.
Okay. All right. The third and final chapter we'll read is Arya 2.
Oh, Arya. She's probably gonna be sad.
Okay, but where is she gonna be? What's she gonna be doing?
Well, wherever... Well, if they're on the journey, her friend's dead, so she can't really go hang out with her friend anymore.
No.
Why am I laughing? I don't know why I'm laughing.
It's like that kind of sadness that makes you laugh, because you can't cry anymore.
Oh my god.
2020 has taken all the crying out of us.
Facts. I used to cry so much. I don't think I've cried this year in a while. Anyway, Arya, because she can't go... She's
like, if Ned's chapter is on the road, Arya's chapter could be the chapter of when they arrive in King's Landing.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, that's true.
What?
I just don't think
You're
anything
not saying anything here.
No, I'm thinking. I just don't think anything interesting is gonna happen. Like, her and Sansa will probably fight some more.
Well, they've got a lot to fight about now, so...
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's not just like, you didn't show up to high tea with the queen. It's not just that anymore, It's like actual, like, oh, you got my friend killed. Oh, well, you made my betrothed hate me. How do you say it? Betrothed?
Betrothed.
Yeah. You made my...
I'm sick, okay?
You made
my
betrothed...
say wig before.
You made my betrothed hate me. And then she's gonna be like, well, you got my friend killed. And they're gonna be like,
And then Sansa got her wolf killed.
Don't
true.
Forget that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, but that wasn't Arya's fault. She was kind of trying to help her there. But she's gonna say it's Arya's fault. That's true. Yeah, you're right. It's not like any of these people are rational.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Not wise nor cunning. They're just children.
Yes.
Okay, anyway. I think that's everything. Before we wrap up, just one thing that I want to bring up. We had one of our wonderful listeners, Tina, comment on our website, and Tina said, "Hi, I just discovered your podcast and I'm really enjoying it so far, especially Hermit's predictions for future chapters." Me too. And then she asked me, "Nav, you said that you haven't read the books either and that you have only watched the show and read some chapter summaries and theories. Were there any parts of the book so far that you hadn't heard about before, or that surprised you. So now, when she, I'm sorry, Tina, I'm assuming your pronouns, when Tina commented on our website, this was like a few weeks ago, this was a long time ago, we hadn't read a lot of chapters, so the only answer that I could give was that the others are different from how they're portrayed in the show. That's all I'll say in front of Harmouth. If you want to see my actual full reply, go to the website, check it out. And yeah, Tina said, Tina actually replied and said that I also really like the way their icy armor is described as changing its color with every step. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So thank you, Tina, for your comment, and we really appreciate being able to connect to you. I just want to do one quick shout out to the restricted section, which is the podcast hosted by our guest last episode, Christina, and I believe that I will be appearing on that podcast as a guest on January 27th. So keep an eye out for that. It's totally cool if you don't want to listen to me anymore. I get it. I also do this podcast to hear what Harmouth has to say, but still, give it some love. That's a really good podcast. That's everything, I guess. You can email us at popculturesymposium@gmail.com. That's everything. Until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.